Mr. Gaetz. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I wish we had the benefit of Mr. Brown's amendment for review when considering Ms. Hartzler's amendment. What I do remember is that under withering questions from Ms. Hartzler, it became very apparent to every person paying attention on this committee that there was no real definition of extremism, yet we were having an extremism stand down anyway. And there are people in the military who are being driven out as a consequence of their viewpoint. And the fact that we have strong laws on the books is fascinating, but it doesn't have its own fiat. Because the problem is those laws aren't self-affecting. If there is a culture that has infected the upper-level brass right now at the Department of Defense, where we've all got to view service members as potential extremists and white supremacists and disruptive to the force as a consequence of something as simply as sharing an America First hashtag or indicating support for former President Trump, then we really have a problem. And I actually, though I don't have the benefit of Mr. Brown's amendment, I see very little tension in the prospect of saying we have a definition of extremism, and then until that is ultimately implemented, we are not going to hunt down people by virtue of labeling any politics that we don't like as extremism. And if you think that's hyperbole, if you think that that's not really happening, there are no people empowered at the DOD right now to target people as a consequence of conservative-leaning viewpoint, you can reference my questions to Secretary of Defense Austin on the very subject of Bishop Garrison, someone who is a senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense on these very questions, on how we interpret extremism, and it was Bishop Garrison himself that said that if someone supported Donald Trump, there could be no nuance. They had to be viewed as a racist. They had to be viewed as a national security threat. That is not what tens of millions of people in our country believe. I would venture to guess that's probably not even what folks on the other side of the aisle would believe in this committee. There probably are people of all kinds of viewpoints that are both, both enjoyable and not as enjoyable, that support both President Trump and people on the other side of the political aisle. Our service members are reflective of our country. They ought to be able to have diverse viewpoints. But right now, in DOD, people that have a conservative viewpoint do feel that they're being targeted under a nebulous definition. That violates due process. It violates our values. And any review of the answers that the DOD leadership gave to Congresswoman Hartzler on this question would show that they're just using the veil of extremism to go after people whose politics they don't like. I yield back.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us here at Golden State Times. If you're new to the channel, we encourage you to subscribe by clicking that middle button. Also, check out our previous video by clicking the video on the right, or a video you might enjoy by clicking the video on the left. Also, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and share this video on social media. Peace.